You're listening to Issues and Answers with Norman A. Carter Jr. Wah! And America, we welcome you. And we welcome to all the inhabitants of this wonderful blue planet for this installment of Issues and Answers on the WCEG Digital Media Enterprises Network. We are the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group. We don't just talk about things going on in our broadcast home of Georgia, but also in the United States, but also concerns that affect this country and this world. Because no man is an island. No man walks alone. Any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls, for it tolls for thee. This is a reminder that we cannot isolate from one another. We are all part of the one. We are all citizens of earth created in the image of God. We are all guardians of his creations. Let's live that way. So whether you are in France, Russia, Guam, or Canada, understand that WCEG welcomes you. We are definitely the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group. Now, in the event that you just stumbled upon us, let me inform you about the many ways you can access our programs. You can log on to WCEGradio.com on your computer or mobile device and click the icon that says live. You can watch us live on your smart TV. Dumb TVs are played out. Access the WCEG channel on LinkedIn, Roku, YouTube, Fanbase, Blue Sky. I did mention LinkedIn, and all other social media platforms. If you missed the live broadcast, you may always view us on YouTube at any time after the airing of this live broadcast. If you have Alexa, say, Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio. Download our free WCEG mobile app, or you can listen to us on any of our 12 podcast distribution platforms. Now, let me tell you one thing here. Please understand that the topics and opinions are mine and my guests. Neither reflect the opinions of the staff and management of WCEG Digital Media Enterprises. So let's rock and roll. Will there be lessons learned? I certainly hope so. Ladies and gentlemen, today our guest is Brigadier General Shawn Harris. General Harris grew up in Blakely, Georgia, on his family's farm. After graduating high school, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. He attained the rank of sergeant. Later, he received a Bachelor of Arts degree in agribusiness at Tuskegee University, where he was a member of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, and where he and his wife Carla met and married. Now, after 9/11, you know what that was, General Harris was deployed as an infantry commander in Afghanistan, where he saw extensive combat. Over a 4-decade military career, he rose from private to brigadier general. That's an accomplishment, an achievement so rare it places him among a tiny fraction of service members. Let me explain that. To put that rise into perspective, while U.S. Army has roughly 450,000 active duty soldiers, only 130 to 150 serve as brigadier generals at any given time. Fewer than 5% of the colonels are ever selected for promotion to the first general officer rank. The climb typically requires 25 years of service, advanced degrees, senior service college graduation, and survival through the military's unforgiving up and out promotion system. I know what that means because if you get passed over a certain amount of times, you're out of there. Mm-hmm. General Harris served as a combat infantry commander in Afghanistan before retiring as a general. When his military career service ended, he and his wife Carla returned home to Georgia and back to the 14th Congressional District. And he is a candidate for congressional seat, which was recently vacated. Um, General Harris, welcome to WCEG.
Well, I tell you, it's great to be on your show. I'm so excited to be here. Norman, I think we're going to have a great conversation today. It's been a long time since somebody actually introduced me like that. I was like, man, that sounds like a pretty cool guy you're talking about there. It was a
Well,
long time since I was a private.
well, I tell you, as one with the uh, military service of my own, not quite as extensive as yours, and having graduated from the U.S. Military Academy Preparatory School, I'm aware of the differences between company grade, field grade, and general grade officers.
Yes.
Achieving the level of general grade officer is a difficult achievement. You began as a private. What propelled you to rise to one of the highest military grades?
Well, thank you for that question. One of the things that when I look back over my career, starting off as a private and then ending up as a general officer, the key piece that was with me the entire way was the senior NCOs. And because you did some time in the service, you understand that our NCOs, non-commissioned officers, is the backbone of the military. I was I I was told and respected the voice and advice of my senior NCOs, and because at every step of my career, I always had a senior NCO that would whisper in my ear and say, "Hey, Shawn, think about this. This is how you navigate," and all those things. All the way through my career until my last assignment of being in Israel as a senior defense official. So the piece that helped me get to the top was hard work, but it was really all the people that supported me. One of the things that a sergeant major told me many years ago is, Shawn, when you get to the top and you look around and everybody's cheering for you and stuff, and you're sitting on the top of the pole out there, think about it. You didn't climb up there yourself. Many other people actually help you get there. And on top of that, when you get there, make sure that you help others get to that level. So that's what Shawn Harris is all about. I'm just about trying to be an inspiration to others, and at the same time be somebody that's going to open up doors for others so that they can reach their potential and their dreams. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, my pleasure. Uh, for our vast audience, and we're talking to you Georgians, but in particular right now, uh, can you give an audience of an idea of where the 14th congressional district is located?
Yes. The 14th is a very big district. It's 10 counties. I'll coming from Atlanta way is West Cobb. Then it comes down through Paulding County, back through Pope, where I actually live. I live in Rockmart, Georgia. And then it goes into Rome, Georgia, which is Floyd County. After you get to Floyd County, then it goes straight north all the way back to the Tennessee line. So it's 156 miles one way, and I'm out
Mm.
here going back and forth every other day, meeting and speaking to people throughout the district. One of the things that we have said with this campaign, it is no town that's too small to come and sit down and have a conversation and listen. And then on top of that, we said that we were going to talk to every zip code. And I'm proud to say that's something that we do every week. We were just in Paulding County, I think 2 nights ago at a town hall. And we'll be back up north here in the next week or so at some more town halls. And then on top of that, Norman, I think Saturday, if I got my dates right, I know we're going to have some bad weather, but the
Mhm.
League of Women Voters will have us now. We were going to do it in person. I think it's going online. So I asked the audience to jump on that and look at that form. I think I'm going to be going against right now in the campaign itself or in the special election on the 10th is 17 Republicans that I'm running against. So I'm looking forward to having the hard discussions, looking forward to answering the hard questions, and looking forward to showing people that leadership matters and kind of go from there.
One thing I'd like to point out, uh, the 14th congressional district of Georgia comprises about population wise about 7% of the state population.
Yes.
But but right now, the eyes of the country are on you. Do you realize that?
Yes, I would tell you yes, that's fine. Because that says people have nothing but hope. But Norman, I would tell you, not only the eyes of our country, I would tell you the eyes of the world is watching this because, like I said, I live right here in Rockmart, Georgia, little bit old small Rockmart. But in the last 10 days, two different newspapers from France has came right here to my cattle farm to actually interview me. So it's
Wow.
not just the United States is watching. The whole international world is watching because Marjorie Taylor Greene was such a individual that everybody was knowing and tracking. Now they're saying the district has an opportunity to go a different direction. The district has an opportunity to come back down off the chaos and actually get real things done. And so right now, I'm blessed that not only are great people from the great state of Georgia that are supporting me, people from all over the country that are supporting me, but people from all over the world is actually supporting me. And when I say supporting me, it's not always the money piece, and we need that.
Mhm.
But because your show is a little different from all the other shows that I do, it is the prayers. Those prayers are what's actually helping me do the things we're doing. And to come all the way back to our very first conversation, the go from private, United
Mhm.
States Marine Corps, Paris Island, still on the yellow footprints, to going to Brigadier General, last assignment in Israel as senior defense official, and the president of the United States coming off the plane, President Biden, and being the black guy that salutes him. That's only God Himself. So it's on morning shows. I wouldn't say that, but because I understand your show, I just want your audience to know that I'm nobody special, but we are truly blessed, and because of those blessings, we are prepared to take on this challenge that we got, and we're confident on March 10th we're going to win this special election flat out and move on to DC and do great things for everybody here in Northwest Georgia.
Fantastic. It's funny because there's a little aside because you mentioned Paris Island. Got to mention my father-in-law who just passed away last year. He was a Marine who trained at Montford Point.
Oh
So
yes.
yeah, yeah, my two brothers were both Marines, and here I
Eh,
was, Army.
so you know when you are honored to earn the title of Marine,
Hmm.
you never give that up. There's no such thing
Right,
as a former Marine. So
right.
so so when they say Shawn was in the Marine Corps and yeah he was in the Army and yeah he was a general, I always, when I go out and speak and let people know that I'm not a former Marine. I took what I learned in the Marine Corps as my foundation, and it followed me all the way through my military career.
Yeah,
And Marines don't quit. They
that
don't quit, and it showed absolutely no fear. And that's why I'm very confident in a ruby red district, in a ruby red district where some people may say, "Oh, it's going to be tough." Well, guess what? If it wasn't tough, I wouldn't be in the race. And I would tell you, Norm, that we're in a good slot. We're in a good position. Right now, it's 17 Republicans that are running against me in a jungle election. They may call it a primary. And I'm confident that on the March 10th, or actually February 16th is early voting.
mhm.
I'm confident that we're going to have great turnout. People are excited. And when I say people are excited, I just want your audience to know it's not only Democrats that are excited about this race, it's also independents. And believe it or not, it's a significant amount of common sense Republicans that have already crossed over and actually saying they voted for Shawn Harris. And when you come into our district, you'll see the signs that says Republicans for Shawn. That right there in people's yard, that's not fake. That's the real deal. And we're going to make sure that we're going to be celebrating on the 10th of March.
Well, I think we need to bring our broadcast on the 10th of March right
Come
to
on, come on.
bring it up there because that will definitely be historic. Um, with an overall population density of 243.2 people per square mile, would you consider your district a rural district or
Yes.
okay?
Yes, it is 100% a rural district. And that's a good thing. That's where I was raised down in Southwest Georgia and Blakely. It's still a very rural community. Uh, Agriculture is the number one industry in the great state of Georgia. Agriculture is the number one industry here inside the 14th. But the 14th is actually very diverse. When you say West Cobb, just that little sliver of Cobb County, but West Cobb actually has more people and more voters than some of my counties that are completely up north. So the
Oh,
density of the people. But in addition to that, when you look at our district, Rome, Georgia is considered the hub of our district. And why I say it's the hub of our district, that simply means if you are having some healthcare issues, 9 times out of 10, no matter where you live in our district, unless you live in West Cobb, you're actually going to the hospital or you going to the doctor in Rome, Georgia. So Rome is that hub, and that's why my headquarters is there in Rome. And the last piece that I would say on that diversity piece is over the years of Marjorie Taylor Greene being our congressman for the last 5 years, people have moved into our district from all over the United States. So this is not the same district that I ran in last time against Marjorie Taylor
mhm,
Greene. And every day, places like West Cobb and Paulding, Georgia, Dallas, Georgia, Hiram,
mhm.
Georgia. These places have got people moving in from all over the country, and they're bringing their ideas to the table. And I'm so proud of that because I know Paulding County and West Cobb and everywhere else are going to really come out, and that's how we're going to win this thing with sure numbers of Democrats, Independents, and common sense Republicans.
Fantastic. 39%, sir,
Mhm.
of your electorate. I mean, I'm using the 2023 census.
Mhm.
39% of your electorate is over the age of 65.
Yes.
I'm going to quote a little bit here, and I'll get your
Mhm.
opinion on it.
Mhm.
In August of 2023, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene spoke critically about initiatives including Medicare, which she described as socialist, complaining that President Joe Biden wants to enhance them. His big socialist programs were the Great Society program to address education, Medicare, urban problems, rural poverty, transportation, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, welfare, Office of Economic Opportunity,
Mhm.
and big labor and labor unions.
Mhm.
She said, basically, and I'm condensing it now because it's a whole bunch of stuff. She was totally against that. In fact, she made a statement saying, meanwhile, we're now $32 trillion in debt with a record high homelessness, 40-year record of inflation. We're losing the US dollars as the number one world currency. And ironically, she states we're losing our freedoms. Our government is one big fat bloated machine and it's killing the American dream. And now we find ourselves on the verge of another pointless foreign war. How ironic is that? And that
Mhm.
was 3 years ago. So,
Yes. Yeah.
so, sir, so with 36% of
Mhm.
your households in your district have a median income of $70,423, which is
Mhm.
less than Georgia's 74,632.
Yeah.
Are Medicaid and Medicare a concern in your district?
Yes. Well, the easy answer to that is yes. But let me also make sure that your audience understand because sometimes I actually think I'm in the twilight zone. For the older audience, you understand that was a great show when I was a kid because the Marjorie Taylor Greene that you were talking about that made all those statements, that is 100% true. That was her position. I call that Marjorie 2.0. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if you come back to now in 2026 or 2025, when Marjorie went on The View, Marjorie 2.1, she's actually saying the exact opposite thing. She talks about healthcare is too high. We have healthcare deserts. We got to make sure that we can make sure that young people can buy houses. We got to make sure that keep corporate America out of our district because they buying up all the houses and then want to rent it to you. She talks about our farmers need to be helped out. She even talks about, hey, the debt is still going up under President Trump. And then she also talks about, like she ended last time, we're on the verge of another forever war. So, with all those things being said, what I would say is this: Marjorie Taylor Greene was correct back there 3 years ago on saying these were the problems. She was just on the wrong side of history. Marjorie Taylor Greene that decided to quit on the people here in Northwest Georgia, guess what she did? She looked at the Shawn Harris thing and said, I'm going to take his talking points because Shawn
Wow.
Harris is on the right side of history. And that's why Marjorie Taylor Greene decided to quit on the people, because she knew that if her and I went head to head again, that she was going to lose this race. Because right now, we are mainly in a healthcare desert. Okay. And what I mean to say that, not only our seniors, but our youth, our veterans, everybody, because the reality of it is we may have a hospital. Okay. We got the building, but we don't actually have the doctors. We don't actually have the nurses. We don't actually have the specialists, so that when you go there, they still got to put you on a helicopter and fly you to Atlanta, Georgia, or Chattanooga, Tennessee. Now, with that being said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that we get our healthcare access back where it needs to be. I'm going to make sure that the ACA gets passed and we can get our healthcare bills back down, because in this district, like we said earlier, it is rural communities. Most of our voters are farmers. Most of
Mm.
the farmers, excuse me, are dependent on the ACA. And at the same time, most of our farmers are right now waiting on to see if the Trump administration is going to give them a subsidy, because that we got all these tariffs right now. We can't sell our crops anywhere. So this, to sum this piece up, Marjorie Taylor Greene, 2.1, 2026 version that everybody saw on The View is the Marjorie Taylor Greene that has taken Shawn Harris' talking points and realized that everything that she believed was a lie. And it's my job now is to build upon that, continue to build on what we've been doing here in the district, making sure that people never even remember the name Marjorie Taylor Greene. We moving on to a new phase. We moving into a phase where Shawn Harris will represent everybody in this district. Keyword, everybody in this district, to ensure that we don't get left behind, because I'm truly concerned that Northwest Georgia is beautiful, but if we don't think strategic, we have the potential of small town America started shutting down here real soon.
One of the things that I've always said is that, not just me, but other folks, that imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm
That's
sure
very,
she won't
very
tell
true.
you that.
Very true.
Okay, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of your endorsements. I don't know them all,
Mm-hmm.
but some outstanding ones that I know about are: number one, Vote Vets.
Yes.
Uh, they say that uh, General Harris demonstrated his ability to unite the district by building a wide coalition of Democrats, independents, and common sense Republicans. He garnered more votes than any other Democrat in over a decade, proving he can bridge divides. Boy, do we need that now.
Mm-hmm.
Shawn is running to finish the fight and ensure his home, Northwest Georgia, remains a great place to live and raise a family. Join us in endorsing Brigadier General Shawn Harris. The
Yes.
next one I
Mm-hmm.
like to mention, which I'm sure is a national interest, uh, someone by the name of Mary Trump,
Yes.
who says that Shawn Harris has shown the courage, integrity, big words coming out of that, and commitment to our country that we desperately need in Congress. He's a veteran, a leader, and someone who understands the mission of serving Georgia families who work hard for their communities. How do those endorsements make you feel?
They make me feel extremely blessed. Um, I'm honored to get those type of endorsements. Those are great organizations and also great people. And I would tell you I appreciated all of that. But the endorsements that I think means the most to the people here inside the district. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, I understand when people hear vote vest, when they hear Mrs. Trump, and when they I think we already need to let people know that Mrs. Trump is kin to Donald Trump, but she's not in favor of Donald
Okay,
Trump. So
correct.
so so, but when you get those type things, that plays well to the larger national base. But here inside the district, when I get endorsements from Reverend Shields, who's a pastor in Rome, Georgia, when I get endorsements from local people here in the district that people actually know and can touch, those endorsements carry a lot more weight with everyday people and everyday voters. I will also tell you that it's not an endorsement, but people love the fact to say that, Shawn, you're the only politician, and I correct them to let them know I'm not a real politician. I'm
Hmm.
just a leader. But they say I'm the only politician that has ever came to their little town. Everybody else
Wow.
has looked them over, Democrat or Republican, and people have said to me, because you came to our town and listened to us, I'm going to vote for you. The other place that I won't get an endorsement, but I get a whole lot of support is when I walk in Walmart because I live in a small town. Guess
Hmm.
what? Walmart is our number one store. That's the difference living in the city. And when
Hmm.
I walk in Tractor Supply to get something, when people see me around the corners and they stop me and they say, "Wait a minute, you're the guy that's running for Congress." Yes, ma'am. And and you here in Walmart buying milk? Yes, ma'am. Based on that,
Hmm.
the lady says, I'm voting for you because that says that you're a real person. I'm not a celebrity. You got to keep in mind, many people in the district had never truly met Marjorie Taylor Greene. They only saw her on TV, on Twitter, or on all these other social media things. She never came out to the public. So when people actually meet me in real life, without all the glitter and stuff, that's the endorsement, and that endorsement comes with a vote. So I thank you for those accolades, but at the end of the day, what I'm looking for is just to make the people here in the district, the people here in every little small town, the people here in places that people that have been living in Georgia all their lives have never heard of their town. I want to be like Dolly Parton, and I definitely can't sing, but if you ever hear Dolly Parton do an interview, she always let everybody know that she was married in Ringo, Georgia.
Oh, right.
And Ringo, Georgia
I
is
know where
right
that is.
here in our district. And every time I go to Ringo, Georgia, that's how I started off saying, I just want to be big people to know that I want to go down in history that I was in the same place that Dolly Parton got married. Point blank.
Wow.
So, and I don't think it's even a sounding town that says that, but it's just cool to say that small towns throughout Georgia also make a major difference here in Georgia. And so thank you for that, sir.
Sort of what you just said reminded me of my favorite poem, which is to be able to walk among kings but not lose the common touch.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
very, very, very important. Uh, During my military career,
Hmm.
Thule, Greenland was an important military presence. Most Americans probably do not know that we have a military base there since probably the late 1950s.
Hmm.
Has that diminished? How important is it?
Yeah. What's currently going on with Greenland is embarrassing. That's the best way that I can say it. Um, and Greenland, two things. Greenland is our NATO partner, and I think our orders need to understand that our NATO partners who've been with us for a long, long time, but I'm going to bring it up to this generation, and this generation needs to understand that when we were hit on 9/11, for us, the United States is concerned that the world changed for us. When we were hit on 9/11, our NATO partners, including Greenland and Denmark, they actually came to our aid. And on top of that, when I was in Afghanistan in 2007, 2008, I actually had soldiers from Greenland actually out in the battlefield with me. And Greenland today still has more people who died for us from 9/11, protecting our rights, our beliefs, than any other country because they're so small. I think 46, 76, whatever the number was, not to diminish the number, but based on how small they are, they actually had more deaths than anybody else. So for us to now be saying that we're going to take it over, potentially use military, we got bases there and had bases there forever. And
Yeah.
matter of fact, if we want some more bases, they'll let us have it there. So,
Hmm.
so I think President Trump is confused. I think he has some bad advice from some of his people, and I also think that we should be celebrating our relationship with NATO because guess what? The world is not a nice place. It is not a nice place. And the worst thing that we can do as Americans or as the United States, the government side of it, is start fighting with our NATO partners. And right now, look like this administration on a daily basis, from economics to whatever, is constantly in a spat with our NATO partners. I'll say two more things about it and I'll leave it alone. Right now, we have Russia has already invaded Ukraine, and we know that there's a lot of war crimes going on the whole 9 yards. We also know that Putin is a thug and a killer the whole 9 yards. Yes, but he is trained KGB. Those are the facts.
Hmm.
We also know that China wakes up every day saying, we're going to play the long game with the United States. That's why we're going to make sure that we make those farmers hurt, because we know at some point, the whole system, if we don't buy their soybeans, we don't buy the corn, the system will implode on itself and the United States will fall on it on top of its own head. With that being said, if we continue to go down this road talking about we're going to take Greenland by force and fighting our NATO partners, then it makes us look like a bunch of idiots when we're inside the UN and we're trying to say that Russia's doing something about Ukraine. Or
Hmm.
if China decides to invade Taiwan today, what's going to be where are we going to be able to have the high ground? We won't, because both of those countries will point back and say, wait a minute, we're only doing the same thing that you did to Greenland. You took over a very small place that you believed, or somebody believed, that we should be doing this. So, sir, I get passionate about that because I believe that when we send leaders to Washington, D.C., we need to make sure that we send in leaders that not only can focus on the local things of the district, but we also need to make sure that we can send leaders that when we start talking about foreign issues around the world, or start talking about where does the United States stand in the world, we need leaders that can understand that and make sure that the United States stays at the top of the food chain, because right now I'm concerned that we have some individuals that I'm running against. They love to say America first, or make America great again. I'm just not 100% what that actually means. And especially when it comes to foreign policy. Um, as you know, by doing time in the military, our military is a global force. But the only reason we're a global force is because we have our friends all around the world that help us in regions. The last thing that we need is for our European friends to actually turn their backs on us and stop being so friendly. I don't think we'll be able to pull it off. So thank you for that question.
There'd be a couple more along that line, but what I'd like to add, because you did mention the American First movement, and I'd like for our listeners, when you have the time, to look up historically America First
Mm-hmm.
and see what that really, really means. You only have to go back as far as probably the 1930s, 1940s. You get back there, it's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
Uh, Another question, and I'm answering these particular questions, because for the benefit of our audience, we are concerned about the local issues that
Mm-hmm.
directly impact Georgia. But as a member of Congress, uh, General Harris will also be involved with the War Powers Act,
Yes.
which for those of you who don't know, that's supposed to fall within the purview of Congress,
Mm-hmm.
and it's being sort of usurped lately. But
Yes.
um, things will change. But
Hey,
um,
sir, can I say one thing before you ask me the next
sure,
question? Just why
go
it's on
ahead,
my mind
go ahead.
is that um, I think it's very important that whoever's in Congress understands the roles of Congress versus roles of the president. Because right now, like you indicated, Congress, I don't put it on you, I put it on me. Congress is not doing their job. And I will tell you, as a product of a forever war, I am a product of a forever war. The last thing I want to do is get another generation into a war that we just kind of walked into it blindly. We need to make sure that we asking the question, why are we getting in this war? And if we are going to get in this war, what is the definition of winning? And if we getting into it, what is the intel to tell us to get in there? Because if we go back and just study a little history, we would know that somebody lied to Colin Powell. And
Whoa,
Colin Powell went out there and told us some things. And Colin Powell said, after it was all said and done, years down the road, he wrote a book about it and said, you know what? They didn't give me the right information. But he owned it as a leader. The last thing I want to do on my watch is to put my kids, your grandkids into another war, because I'm here to tell you, going to war is not a video game. It's playing for
mm,
keeps, and we need leaders that are going to Washington, D.C. that know it, smelt it, lived it, so that when the president says that he wants to do something stupid, they got the backbone to stand up, regardless if they got on a red t-shirt or a blue t-shirt. They can stand up and say, stop. Think about what we're doing. Do we really want to put our kids in jeopardy? And oh, by the way, do the American people have the will in their belly to go back to war? Because if we go to war and the American people are not going to stick with us, we'll be right back where we were in Vietnam.
going back to Vietnam, and it's something that you said earlier, and I'm paraphrasing your words, is that we have to have an end game. And I remember when President Johnson took office, I was in the service then, and one of his questions was to the generals and to the other leaders who were in there was, "What is our plan? What is our end game?"
Yeah,
And there was no end game.
right.
and,
It,
and
you, I learned this through my leadership training. Is every I'm not going to say everybody wants to get in a fight, but people get real excited about the fight. Real leaders, real leaders ask, how do we end it? What is the exit strategy? And if we don't have an exit strategy, we should not get started, because if we don't have an exit strategy, then we run the potential of fighting a 20-year war 1 year at a time. What I just said there
mm-hmm.
is, I went to Afghanistan 2007, 2008. If you look back in that time frame, we were supposed to be the surge that was going to put a lot of troops on the ground. We was going to send a whole bunch of people either to heaven or hell. I'm not sure where they were going to go, but it was supposed to
Mm.
end. Well, guess what? I was Lieutenant Colonel Harris back then. And I was Brigadier General Shawn Harris standing up in Israel when I saw us actually leaving Afghanistan. You don't go from lieutenant colonel to General Harris in 5 days. So it was a lot of years from 2008 to 2021, 2022. I don't remember the exact date.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole
Yeah.
nother career that has occurred
Yeah.
since the time I actually left Afghanistan. So I am passionate about if we're going to put our children, and the reason why I say our children is because I know something for a fact. People that serve in the military, you're not the first generation to serve in the military. And people that have served in the military, you probably got children and grandkids now in the military. It's a
Mm-hmm.
family business.
Yeah.
So, since I am a product of the military, I will make sure before we send your sons and daughters and grandkids to war and turn them into a veteran, it better be worth it. And we better know how we're going to get in this fight and how we're going to get out of this fight. So that's my promise to everybody out there in America, but specifically to our veterans.
Uh, General Harris, current news clearly shows that we are in tenuous times, as you have indicated,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to world peace. Far too many of our legislators lack military service.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, you earned a degree in strategic studies at the Army War College.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any portion of your strategic studies that justified abandoning the Geneva Convention and shoot unarmed civilians adrift in the ocean?
No, sir, not at all. Matter of fact, I'm not sure. Can people see it? This ring that's on my finger, you see senior leaders wear this ring. Sometimes you'll see it with the West Point guys or the academy guys. But if you didn't go to one of the academies, usually when you go to the War College and other senior schools, that's where we get this ring. Less than 5% have this ring. Um, and to just answer your question, no. I did a piece on that a few weeks back where I talked about if an individual is hanging off the side of a boat, we had international rules that we have agreed to. We should not have taken that shot. I even talked about that right now, our Secretary of Defense or our Secretary of War, depending on which title he wants to take, is not qualified to do the job, and he needs to step down right now immediately because he is taking our troops into some very dangerous areas. I even just said less than 24, 48 hours ago, because I was just with Senator Mark Kelly a few days ago in Atlanta when he came here to see Senator Ostoff. I was one of the veterans that was in the room. We took a picture together. I posted on my page, I stand with Mark Kelly because veterans and everybody in this country, we have free speech. And for Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War to go on at Mark Kelly talking about he's going to bring him back on active duty, demote him, and then take his retirement is just crazy. And if he's going to do it to him, then he'll do it to me. He'll do it to you. He'll do it to every last one of us. And as veterans, we should never let anybody try to take our voice for the stuff that we have already went through for this country. So that's where I know I gave you a long answer,
No, no, no.
but at the end of the day, when it comes to our military right now, um, Pete needs to step down immediately. Period.
General General Harris, at the very beginning of this interview, I, I sort of defined vaguely the differences in officers in the company grade, field grade, and general grade. Pete Hegseth, to my recollection,
Nelson.
he was a company grade,
Yes, sir.
a captain, I believe. There is such a vast, for you civilians who don't know, there is such a vast difference in responsibility and accountability from a company grade officer to a general grade officer. Uh, a lot of your company grade officers never ever make it to field grade.
No,
Never make it.
no.
And so the expertise level that he's bringing to you now, and I'm not campaigning for you, sir, but I just want to say that the public needs to understand the differences the sphere of responsibilities that you had. Um, uh, you're responsible for lives and whatever. But anyway,
Yeah,
let's
I
get let.
let me just touch on that. This is the best interview I've had in ever. Um, Let me just touch on that. You know when he summoned first time in history all of our generals from all over the world had to fly into Washington D.C. to go into a building down in Quantico and be all in the same room. Think about that. Every last one of us is on somebody's kill list. I just put it out there plain. When you make it to that rank, somebody wants to send you to heaven. Okay? You on somebody's kill list, but we're going to bring all of our generals to the same place at the same time. That in itself says, wait a minute, you're not really thinking smart. But then to get there, and the reason why I bring this to your audience, if I wouldn't decide to retire and come on home and spend time with the grandkids and raise cattle and do all those kind of things, potentially I would have been one of those generals sitting in that room with a straight face because guess what? We're professionals. We're professionals. And the cameras were running. I would have been one of those faces looking directly at him, no expression, no clapping, no nothing. But I would have been saying to myself, you mean to tell me you had me fly all the way back from the Middle East to come here to Virginia to talk to me about exercising?
Hmm.
That's what you want to talk to me about is exercising? That right there says to you, gets back to your point. That's where his brain is at because at the level that he was in the military, we even at generals, we are physically in shape. We are
Hmm.
in shape, but we're not walking around doing company commander stuff or saying how many push-ups did you do today. No, we're a long ways above that, and I'm not going to get that deep into it. But if I'm asking you about how many push-ups you did today, then somebody need to get me out of my seat because I'm not looking at what we'll say. I'm not looking over the horizon. I'm not looking, what are we doing 25, 30 years from now? That's what we supposed to be talking about as generals. How are we going to protect this country? How are we going to make sure this world stays free
Hmm.
25 to 30 years from now? But our Secretary of Defense, our Secretary of War, he wants to talk about how many push-ups somebody can do, why women should be a ranger when they already proved themselves to be a ranger, why putting women out of the military when they have already earned it. That's right there says you're not qualified to do the job. Get out of the position. Let us get somebody else in there because I'm worried with his type leadership at the top, we can mess around and get ourselves kick a hornet's nest that we don't want to kick right now. That's probably the best way to say it on your show.
uh, I want to get a little bit into some meat and potatoes stuff.
Okay.
Uh, your election date, actual election date is March 10th.
Mm-hmm.
I believe early voting starts February 9th. Is that
No,
correct?
no. Early voting starts on the 16th, which
Okay, the
is
16th.
which is President's Day. But the
Okay.
significant thing about that is um normally you won't have an election on President's Day, but Georgia celebrates President's Day on a different day. What I've been saying to everybody here lately, because all of us will be off, I'm asking all of my supporters, we have nothing holding us back. Let's flood the polls on the 16th. Let's get all the votes in. We'll do the same thing on the 17th. It goes for 3 weeks here in Georgia. And then March 10th is actual election day.
The current budget, uh, national budget, runs out on March 6th.
Mhm.
But with the way Congress moves, that budget will still be debated on your arrival to Congress.
Yes.
Uh, among the $2.5 trillion of proposed mandatory budget cuts are cuts to defense contractors, energy firms, and healthcare providers.
Mhm.
What's your view on that, sir?
I would tell you my major focus that I've been talking about is healthcare providers because in our district That is the close fight. And what I mean by the close fight, we are already pretty much in a healthcare desert. And like I mentioned, I'll use this point, I'll use the VA as an example. The VA is cutting roughly about 85,000 doctors and nurses, healthcare professionals out of the system. When they say that, they're not cutting doctors and nurses that are already there. That's how many people they need to hire to just deal with the veterans that they actually got trying to come through the door. That's why our when we're trying to get an appointment, it takes us so long to get an appointment. Or when you get an appointment and now you need to go see another doctor, it could be another 6 months before you can get there. I want to make sure that when I get to Congress, all of these cuts that they're talking about, myself and other like minded leaders, and when I say like minded leaders, it doesn't make any difference you're a Democrat or Republican. If you know how to work with people, you don't have to like people. If you know how to work with people, you can find those one or two things that everybody can agree upon. Because guess what? I guarantee you, it's some Republican somewhere here in the United States that got the same issue I have, is that when they cut these things that you just laid out, but in this case, the hospital staff, he or she is worried just like I am that you won't see it in Atlanta, but you'll definitely see it in Rome, Georgia, because
Mm.
right now in Rome, Georgia, on current today, they have outstanding doctors, outstanding. But if you're a female and you go to the hospital in Rome, Georgia, and you have a complication having a baby, the expert's not
Hmm.
there. They got to put you in a helicopter and fly you to Atlanta because that's where the specialists are if you're having a problem with a baby. So that's my plan. I'm getting at it. I know when I get to DC, my plate is going to be so filled with so many things, but that's okay. Um, Being a retired general, I'm used to having too many things on the plate. But that's why I'm going to bring outstanding people with me to DC that know how to get things done. We also going to have outstanding people here in the district. I think it's important that your people understand this. When Marjorie was our representative, we actually had no offices open in the district. So if you wanted to talk to Marjorie, you couldn't find her. On
Mm.
day one, I will open 3 offices. One would be in Dalton, Georgia, one would be in Rome, Georgia, and one would be over in West Cobb to ensure that our people don't have to drive a long distance. In those offices, it'd be standard. People that want to come and talk to me or get some help, come on in. But in each one of my offices, what makes my office different from everybody else's, it will be an office to focus 100% on our veterans. Because we have 40,000 veterans in this district, many of our veterans is from the Vietnam era and younger with me. But guess what? They don't know how to fill out the paperwork to get the benefits that they have already earned. So a lot of them still sitting at 10%, 5%, or worst case thing, they know they were sprayed with Agent Orange, but they still not getting taken care of for it.
Mm. Wow.
Or they passed away and the spouse didn't realize that she or he was supposed to be getting some money after they passed away. I don't want that money to go back to the treasurer. I want that money to go to the family that has sacrificed for us. So that's why I'm going to have those offices set up. And that will happen on day one here in the district. Because when I get there, I think it's important that your team should know this, sir. Is when we win on March 10th, yeah, I want to celebrate. I want to celebrate. But the reality of it is, we just get into the good part because I got to turn right back again and run again in the primary. Then I got to beat some people in that primary, and then I got to turn around again and beat them in November. So I am just like Senator Warnock a couple years back, where he won it, then had to turn back around and win it again. So I want to make sure that people clearly understand when I ask for their prayers, I ask for money, I ask for knocking on doors and volunteering. What I'm also asking for is stick with me all the way through this process because we are just starting this fight. And this fight's going to be a long fight. It goes all the way to November. But the key thing, if we can get there in March, that changes the deal. I go from just being a Democrat to being the incumbent. That's a very
Mm.
powerful position. And I want to win that position so that we can do the right thing for everybody here in the district. So that's my ask to everybody that's in the district, outside of the district. Come on in here, volunteer. Let's get to knocking on doors, sending postcards, making phone calls. And my team is already taking that. Shelly is training people every day.
It's funny. There's something was very unique that I don't know whether our audience picked up, and you said it several times. Is that you kept saying ACA, ACA, and I'm saying, wow, yes.
Yes.
It is so rare to hear Affordable Care Act. Uh,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
what it is.
Yes. And
That's what
let,
it
let me
is.
just say one other thing because I get the question all the time, because people say, well, you did time in Israel and this and that and all those kind of things. I just wanted your audience to clearly know they hear it directly from me. Nobody can buy Shawn Harris, period. I'm not for sale. So I'm not taking any money from APAC, period. Whatnot. So if somebody starts that upswing saying, well, what does he stand with APAC? You heard it direct from me. It's all over my social media stuff. It's all on my campaign page. And on the other side of the coin, I don't know what the other side of the coin is. That organization, something, see something, whatever. I'm not taking money from them either. I want to make sure that when I get to DC, the only people I answer to are the people live right here in Northwest Georgia, because that is actually who's paying my salary, and that who is right now I'm giving my resume to, saying, look at my resume. I think I'm the best person for the job. If you will, you please hire me. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back every week in one of those three offices that I told you about, and I'm going to give them an update of exactly what I have done for them, exactly what we have accomplished, and at the same time, listen and take back to them and say, well, what else you want me to work on? That is what leaders do. I want people to hold me accountable.
Well, General Harris, I have about another hour's worth of questions for you, but
Okay.
we don't have the time. But I really appreciate having you. Is there anything else you would like to impart to our audience? It's particularly your website and how they can donate to your campaign.
Yeah. First thing I want to say to your audience is thank you in advance. I love the fact that we're getting support from all over the country, outside of Atlanta, in Atlanta, the whole 9 yards. My website is ShawnForGeorgia.com. Please go there. And the cool thing is, you can spell that Shawn any kind of way you want to. That's okay. It'll still take you to my website. But I just ask you now, the big ask. Like I said, we're running against 17 Republicans, a total of 21 of us in the race. Um, that takes money. I'm proud to say, sir, that the average donation to my campaign is $22.37. So nobody's buying me. It's little money, like President Obama did. But that little money put together helps us buy the TV time. And if people that live in Atlanta know that if you see me on a TV station in Atlanta, that commercial was not cheap. So I ask for those small donations so we can put it all together, just like we do in church, and actually be able to do great things. And then the other thing I would actually ask your team for, to help me on, is, I talked about West Cobb and I talked about Paulding. The key for us to win, I got to win in all 10 counties. However, it is enough people. When you add up all my people in the rest of the district, if we can win Rome or Floyd County, come through Polk, hit Paulding, and hit West Cobb, if we can turn those numbers out, then we can win this election. And when I say turn those numbers out, I'm talking about Democrats, independents, and common sense Republicans. I need for people to go to my campaign right now, sign up to volunteer, and then go out making phone calls, knocking on doors, or sending postcards. And we will send you, if you in the Atlanta area, we will send you to those counties, because we want everybody to know that we got a special election. And sir, I'll close it this way, because you live here in Georgia with me. We have an election every Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Just about somewhere in the great state of Georgia, we have an election. So I just need people to know that we have an election here in Northwest Georgia. But what makes this election so historic is that we got the first time a real good chance of flipping this seat blue. And when we flip this seat blue, this will be the first seat that turns blue for the House that leads us into next November 2026. So let's make history here in Georgia, just like we did with the two senators. Let's make history in Georgia and extend that blue line outside of Atlanta all the way up here to Northwest Georgia. And I would tell you now, we got to be truthful with everybody. My district won't be blue. What we're going to do is just take it from ruby red to pink. So I just want your audience to clearly understand that I have to represent everybody. So it won't be blue, but at the end of the day, with their help, we can make sure that everybody up here is getting recognized and everybody up here is part of the greater team, and that finally we got a leader in Washington, D.C. that cares and is going to work for everybody. And I want to just be that particular person. So again, thank you for letting me be on your show. Anytime you want to have me back, the answer is yes. The answer is yes.
Sure enough. Thank you so much, General Shawn Harris. He's running for Congress of the 14th Congressional District of Georgia. We look forward to the results of the election. I thank you so much. To our audience, if you listen to my last program, I put an invitation out for candidates who are running for elective office in Georgia or anywhere to contact us, no matter what your political party, your political persuasion. We would like for the public to hear your voice and to hear your platform. General Shawn Harris was the first. Where are the rest of you? That's what I want to know. Are you hiding? Are you hiding? But anyway, slip it in a slide. But anyway, here we go. It's been a pleasure interviewing the general and having him on Issues and Answers. I thank all of you who have joined our program today. I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks, and who knows who we'll have on our program then. Until then, thank you. Have a great day. Take care. Bye bye.